Hello, this is going to be a bit of a longer video. In take one, I was reading off all the honorable mentions and giving some intel, and that was already at 7 minutes. So we're just going to breeze through. I getting, I am Raw Dog Sports, and in getting ready for the season, because the jamborees have passed. There's a few still going on at the moment, but for the most part, they've been played. So I'm going to be predicting 3 districts per class that I think will be the most exciting districts to watch. In most cases, there'll also be some districts that have legitimate state championship contenders or a few teams that are capable of making deep playoff runs. So with that out of the way, honorable mentions in 5A, 1 5A, 5 5A, and 6 5A. In 4A, it's 1 4A, 3 4A, 6 4A, and 11 4A. Although 11 4A might be a little bit of a stretch. In 3A, 5 3A, 7 3A, and 8 3A. In 2A, 3 2A, and 6 2A, along with 8 2A. In 1A, this is the most of any class. There's 3 1A, 4 1A, which doesn't really have any contenders in the district, but because there's so many kind of mid and below teams in that district, it's just going to be fascinating to see who comes out of that, although there's a pretty clear favorite even there. And then 8 1A and 9 1A, because in 8 1A, this is White Castle's best chance to win the district in a long time. And in 9 1A, Southern Lab and Kitwood are finally back together, and everybody cheered. So anyway, the 3 1A districts, starting off with 1 1A. So at the top, you have, Homer, Glenbrook, and Haynesville. And all 3 of these teams return basically everyone. I mean, some of them are, losing some guys, but, a lot of the key pieces are back, and they have some good talent to replace the pieces they lost. Of those teams, I think I think Homer's gonna end up winning the district, and then Glenbrook and Haynesville. I couldn't blame you for putting either at 2 and 3. I'm gonna barely take Glenbrook here, but again, last year it was literally a 1-point game. Okay, so if you want to say Haynesville, even traveling to Glenbrook, is gonna get back at them, that's completely fine. You know, Now I also in this Google Doc I have pulled up, which unfortunately I cannot show you right now. I also have showed how these teams have finished in the past, but the thing with this district is obviously you had Calvary Baptist, who moved up to 2A, and they kind of ran the show in this district for years, but for the past couple years, Homer's kind of been that second best team. And I think they separate themselves without Calvary to kind of push them down. After that, I think Arcadia is the best of the next. They could probably win a playoff game, maybe even 2 if they get a good draw. But I don't see. I see about a 500-ish season, like 5 and 5, 6 and 4, and that they had a down year last year, but it sounds like they got some guys returning, and then after that it is kind of your seller of the district, Plain Dealing, who just has not really been much the past couple of years, and then you have Magnolia and Ringgold, who Ringgold's a basketball school and Magnolia is, I don't even know, I guess they're an educational institution. Next up, 5-1A. This is a district where it's always very interesting to see how it ends up. Unfortunately, Grand Lake is now 2A size, so they're kind of out of the district and moved up. But again, it's still going to be a very fun district. I picked Hamilton Christian to win the district this year because they were part of the 3-way tie for district last year, and they should only get better. I have Basile in second place, and they've been at or near the top of this district for a while now, and I don't see any reason why that'll be any different. And those are kind of your two main contenders for the district. After that, Oberlin, they're in third place, is a team that I think on given the right conditions on any given Friday night could give Hamilton Christian and Basile some problems, but in a vacuum, they probably should be put as predicted at third in the district for now. That was sloppy phrasing, but I'm just gonna roll with it. After that, I have East Beauregard, who's kind of, there's a little bit of a cavern between Oberlin and them, and then there's an even bigger cavern between them and the bottom three, who you really can put in any order, but I'm going to go with Maryville, Gaynor, and Elton. Hopefully Elton can finally win a game, because I might be young, but I remember a couple years where they were a decent team, and I would really like to see them get back to that status. They've been. 2019 they started the football program back up after a few years of dropping it. Then the COVID year that they didn't play any games again, and last year it was kind of like another fresh start. Anyway, on to the final district, 6-1A. We got, so really this district, other than North Central, who I really want to see, a North Central football program that picks it up. I really like their head coach. It just seems like that, they can't get on the right track. So I have them at the bottom of the district, full disclosure. But, after that, I do have Westminster in fifth, but their jamboree, they played Ascension Episcopal to a 14-7 game, which is pretty impressive. So, they might be able to be in a position this year to bump elbows with third and fourth place. We'll have to see as the year goes on. But for now, I'm sliding them in fifth with the understanding that there's the potential that maybe this is the year they finally move up. So anyway, top of the district absolutely has to be either Opelousas Catholic or Catholic of Point Coupee. I give that edge to Opelousas Catholic. They won the district last year, and they returned a decent bit. Catholic Point Coupee is also returning some guys on the team. They were third in the district last year after 2 years of kind of running things. In the COVID year, Opelousas Catholic and Catholic of Point Coupee never quite got to match up, so we didn't get to see that. But still, this year I have them finishing at a Sacred Heart of Ville Platte, who they graduate some key guys, but they're still in a position to do relatively well in the district. And then rounding out at fourth is St. Ed's, who during the COVID year, they were not afraid to play anyone, and I was all here for it. But they kind of that year they had a lot of seniors, and they lost some of those seniors, and they're kind of still building things back up to where they were now. So anyway, to put it in a more proper order, 6-1A, Opelousas Catholic, Catholic of Point Coupee, Sacred Heart Ville Platte, St. Ed's, Westminster, North Central. That's the current predictions. And again, these are just predictions. They might end up being wrong. They might end up being right, but we'll see. Moving on to 2A. And this is the first district where I have asterisks on any team, and this asterisk is on Oak Grove because they are moving up from 1A into District 2A. And yeah, I have them winning the district straight out of the gate, because I understand that there was a previous time where they played them in 2A and it didn't go well. This Oak Grove team is a lot better than that Oak Grove team. These Oak Grove teams would smack those Oak Grove teams by 3 touchdowns straight up. And I think even the alumni from those teams would admit it. Then in second place, I have Mangum. they've been a solid team in this district. They kind of de facto won the district in the COVID year, but because of how scheduling worked in that season, I wasn't sure how to rank it. So yeah, and then last season they finished second behind General Trask, who had a special season with a special senior quarterback. But I actually still have Trask in third because even though they graduated a decent bit, it seems like they have a program kind of going there where they'll still have a decent season, a good season even, and be able to bounce back. Now Faraday in fourth after their Jamboree results, I would kind of rethink that personally. Might put Rayville over them, but for now, I mean, that's kind of apples and oranges. Obviously, I have Rayville in fifth, and I think that at this point in the district, these kind of mid-tier district teams are the hardest to kind of gauge. But Rayville, they're going to have some decent athletes, but at the end of the day, they're more of a basketball school. But, I could easily see them finishing fourth, maybe even third if Trask, falls on its face more than I think they will. And then at the bottom, it's Vidalia and Madison Parish. I'm not even going to get into them. Those are teams that are probably going to win 3 games or less. Now into 4-2A, and this district is entirely composed of teams that have come from different districts. Avoyelles and Menard coming from a district with Manny and North Caddo and a few others. Oakdale, Rose Pine, and Pickering coming from the old Kinder district. Kinder, who of course is now in 3A, and we will actually get to the district they are in very soon. But for now, in 4-2A, Avoyelles, I was originally under the impression that they graduated more than they actually did. Their 260-pound fullback, yes, 260-pound fullback, and he's actually good, is returning. And I think they're set up to have at least one more really good year. And yes, I am predicting that the Avoyelles Kangaroos win district for the first time in program history. I think they have a good team set up to win that district. In second place, I have Oakdale, and the Jamboree's results, if I remember right, it kind of vindicated my thought process that they can, maybe even push for winning this district, but at least push for top 3. Now, Holy Savior Menard, 3 years ago had a really good year, but has struggled the past couple of years. But I have been hearing word that they've kind of progressed a lot from last season. So if I take the word on that, I'm gonna I'll put them in third at the district. Now, one of my more controversial picks probably is putting Rose Pine at fourth, but understand that class that they had last season and that senior class, even when they were juniors and even sophomores, because remember, this is 2A, so, people play earlier, that was a special class that rolled through. Okay, Ethan Fry and that entire senior class is sort of a once in every decade, maybe even 2 decades kind of class at Rose Pine. Now, I might be underestimating who's coming back, admittedly. They might finish higher than this, especially if I'm overestimating Menard a little. But, I mean, I see them taking a step back this year. And then in last place, there's Pickering. They were, in 2021 and 2019, they were, last place in their district. And then, looking at the COVID year, there was a little bit of an aberration where they had a district record of 3-2, and I'm not entirely sure how. But I'm just going to say Pickering's going to be their usual Pickering. And the final 2A district, 10-2A. St. Charles, Newman, Country Day coming up from 1A, and Martin Luther King Charter coming down from 3A. And even with predicting ML King Charter at the bottom of the district, they're going to be about as good of a last place district team as any in the state, especially at 3A and below. I mean, like even a couple 5A districts, like I will pick King Charter to beat like Grace King or West Washita 7 days of the week and 365 days of the year. Third place, I have Country Day. I mean, now Country Day is kind of the past couple years has dominated well, I wouldn't say dominated, but they've kind of been the cream of the crop of their 1A district with West St. John and Riverside. But now they're coming up with some bigger fish to fry. And those bigger fish to fry are Newman and St. Charles. And I have St. Charles winning the district again. Simple. I mean, I think that game's going to be down to the wire like it is every year. But I think St. Charles is gonna do St. Charles things. They're gonna make plays on special teams. They're gonna play solid defense, and they're gonna score just enough points to win the game. And I think that ultimately hands them the district. And frankly, I think they also win the Division III state title. Okay, looking back in 1A, Homer was also a team that I think wins in non-select there, and I think St. Charles wins in select in 2A. Now we move on to the 3A districts, and oh boy, these first two, actually all of these districts are juicy, because you got some. This is where your cream of the crop are all going to be state title contenders. In 1-3A, I mean, you already know it's Union Parish, it's Sterlington. Now, everything should point to you. Objectively, you probably should pick Sterlington to win the district. I mean, they won it last year. They're the most consistent program in this district, but there's something about when star players in high school ball, like absolute bona fide stars, have their senior year. There's just something different that happens. And Trey Holly is a senior this year, and I'll be up front. I do not like Union's coach and how he conducts himself at all. But just objectively from a football point of view, I give the edge to Union in Trey Holly's senior year. And then once he graduates, it'll go back to business as usual, Sterlington on top of the district. But for now, I'll pick Union to win the district. Sterlington easily could. Really, you could flip a coin and with how it is. And then third and fourth is also kind of interesting. Wassman bringing in the defensive coordinator from LCCP, whose district we will cover next. And then Carroll, who last year had a couple surprise games early in the season, had some decent athletes, but couldn't quite put it together. And unfortunately, I think that's going to plague them again. And I believe that Wassman finishes third in the district, Carroll finishes fourth. And then to round it out, you have North Webster, who's coming over from another 3A district. They haven't really put it all together ever since the Devin White days, and unfortunately, I think that's going to be the case again. Richwood, I really believe could take a step up this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they finished fifth in the district. But until they show some more, I'm gonna put them for now at sixth. And then in last place is Bastrop, who in 2019 somehow finished second in district, but after I guess a really good senior class graduated, they just have not been able to replicate that. 3A, the Lake Charles district of 3A. You have Kinder moving up. You have LCCP. You have Westlake. Iowa almost won the district last year. Jennings, even in an uncharacteristic season of them, still managed to finish third in district. You always got to watch out for St. Louis Catholic. Oh, and then there's South Beauregard, who automatic down to the bottom of the district. But let's rank the rest. I think LCCP wins the district again. They've been the best team in this district for years. And they've actually played Kinder, like, I think all of the past 3 seasons, and have won every one with only one of them even being remotely close. Second place, I think this is the year Westlake breaks through. I'm buying big on this team. I mean, there was 2019 where they came out the gates, caught LCCP on a bad night and blew them out, and finished tied third in the district. I don't think they beat LCCP this year, but I do think that the progress that Coach Richardson has made since coming over from Welsh really shows in this season. In third place, you might be surprised to see me placing Kinder there, but here's the thing. I understand that, they kind of regressed last season. They had a really young team, and they have a lot of those guys coming back. They're going to be well coached. They're going to, run the ball hard, and that's going to be, and I mean, even in a down year, they had okay results, but I think, this is the year where they kind of start building back up to that Kinder standard. Fourth place, I have Iowa. They've had a pretty decent last couple years, but looking at that and juxtaposing that with 3 years ago, I think that kind of indicates a really good senior class who's just come through and gone. So if they can replace some of those key guys very well, then who knows, maybe they can even finish second again. But for now, I think, they're going to go through some growing pains, especially early in district. And I have them in fourth. And then Jennings in fifth. Obviously, they have to replace the younger Etienne kid. They really showed some signs of regression last season, but were able to put it together surprisingly well in the district. And overall, Rusty Phelps has a bit of a challenge this year. I really think he has a bit of a challenge, and we'll see how they do. Next in 6th place is St. Louis Catholic. I mean, they've had a really rough past couple years ever since Hurricane Laura came through. They're like 3 years removed from a second place finish in the district, but ever since Laura came through, the program just hasn't quite been the same. And then in last place, again, South Beauregard. I'm not even going to get into them. 6-3A. I mean, what else can I say? You have U High, you have Madison Prep, and those two are going to be scratching and clawing for that top spot in district. That game, whenever it happens, is going to be contender for Game of the Week. I'm putting U High in first place. They've won the district the past couple of years, and they have a lot of really good talent returning. I see no reason why they should let it slip. That said, Madison Prep's good enough where if they play their best game of the season against U High, there's a good chance they can win it. So, what they say, football is played between the lines, not on paper. Third place, I have Parkview. Last season they finished in fourth, but I believe the third place team was West Feliciana, who's moving up into 4A. Now that's actually not a district that I put down to be looked at. But anyway, Parkview with Stephen LaForce has been transitioning out of their old triple option attack into a spread attack, and they've been getting better and better every year, but they're still not real. I wouldn't even really say they're that close to overtaking U High or Madison Prep, but they're trying to build things up to get there. Now, mentorship in fourth place might look a little weird on the surface. Especially considering they finished behind Glen Oaks last year. But here's the thing. That was on a little bit of a technicality. They had to forfeit their game against Collegiate of Baton Rouge, who was the proverbial punching bag of the whole district. I have no better way to put it. They were losing games like 50-0 every time, and actually, I think it was Bruley who finished third in that district, and Bruley beat them like 84-0. Madison Prep beat them like 72-0. And when you have to forfeit that game, yeah, that kind of, fudges your place in the standings. But even still, again, all these standings are assuming that, there's no eligibility issues, that health is reasonably okay for all these teams. And I think if health is reasonably okay for mentorship, that they finished fourth in the district. Next up, I have Port Allen, who's coming up from 2A. Now, they're a team who they've been in the 2A district with Episcopal and Dunham the past few years, and they're consistently third place in that district. There was that COVID year where I forget which one they beat, but they beat one of them en route to defeating defending state champion that year, Faraday, in the second round of the playoffs. But they kind of took a step back last year. Now, they did manage to beat an up-and-down East Ascension team to secure third place, but, really, if they were still in that district, they probably would be the fourth best team in that district this year. And now they might have enough athletically to defeat mentorship. I would not be surprised at all if that was the case, but for now, I'm going to slide them into fifth. Now, Glen Oaks in sixth place in the district. They actually finished fifth last season, but again, there was some technicalities there, and they're generally not always that good of a team. A lot of their good athletes get poached to other schools in the Baton Rouge area, and it's generally a tough place to get much done at. But at the same time, if that fifth place finish last year was indicative of a class that really could make them decent, then maybe they could even finish as high as fourth or fifth. For now, I'm going to slide them into sixth. Collegiate of Baton Rouge in seventh. If you know anything about them, again, I mentioned how badly they got beat as a first-year program last year. I don't think much more needs to be explained. I don't think they're going to be losing games like 70-0 this year. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a respectable seller team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go winless again. Next, we're finally to 4A. We're getting up to the big boys, and we're starting with 4A, the Lafayette area 4A district, where LCA is playing up at last. And I say this as an alumnus, because the last couple of years, it was pretty evident. The only 2A teams that could really stay with them were, St. Charles, because they did beat them. But anyway, they're playing up in the 4A district, basically replacing Karen Crow, who's moved up to 5A and is finally giving Acadiana a challenge in district. But there's still Westgate there. There's still STM there. Turlings is improving, and yeah, this is going to be one of the most exciting districts in the state, not just because of the top, but because there's even middle of the pack. There's teams that are going to be middle of the pack in this district that could be teams that are going to be at the top of this district. So I have LCA winning the district, but again, it's not going to be like, the easy district wins like it's been the past few years in the district with Notre Dame. I mean, these games are going to come down to the wire. They have STM at STM week 10. They have Westgate week 8. I mean, again, by no means easy games. And I have Westgate in second place. They won the district last season. They're defending state champs. They have, a lot returning, but they're kind of trump card toward the end of the season. Danny Lewis at tight end is now at Bama, but make no mistake about it, they are in position to be every bit as good this season as last season. They're probably your best candidate in the district for knocking off LCA because they're going to be the biggest load to handle up front. They have all that Westgate speed and sorry. But yeah, they have that Westgate speed. They're going to have a really good defense and they just seem to be getting better and better as a program recently. But for now, I have LCA winning the district. I have STM in third place. They're having to replace Walker Howard, but the backup that's going to be starting this year did get some valuable game experience while Walker Howard was hurt. That a passing attack like STM is always going to be tough to defend at the high school level. Their defense, they just need them to be bend, don't break. They need them to get turnovers. And, overall, STM is going to be STM. They also could easily be in the running for winning the district or for second, but I think that, that'll more come in the next couple years, especially as, these next couple classes at Westgate graduate. But for this season, I'm predicting STM in third. Fourth place, Turlings, and I'm even hearing that Turlings is stepping up their game this year. They might end up having the best offense in this district. And if they can just get a little bit from the defense, they can compete with any of these teams ahead of them. But again, putting Turlings at fourth just shows how tough this district is. I mean, in most districts, Turlings would be fighting for first or second place. Well, a lot of districts. Some of the upper echelon ones, they'd still be third or fourth, but in a district like the next one I'm going to mention, I'd pick them to win it. Straight up. Now, the bottom two teams, it's not really worry about them as much. North Vermilion's coming in from that 3-4A district. And then North Side, I have them in sixth. And I really, the past few years, it would have been a little more clear. I think, especially with the addition of Jacardi Carter as defensive coordinator, it's getting closer to, you can kind of flip them either way, but that's kind of how the apple falls with this district, in my opinion, right now. Next, we got 7-4A. And this is the district with Vanderbilt Catholic and Assumption, and Lutcher is joining the mix this year. That's what makes this district interesting, because you have a traditional power in Louisiana football in Lutcher, who's coming back to 4A and is really going to give some good competition to this district. I'm a big believer in this quarterback that they have. I know Edie White was kind of able to contain him, but Edie White is just ridiculously sound on defense, so I don't hold that against them. They can pick apart their coaching staff in particular can pick apart the smallest holes in an offense. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I think, in this district, I have Letcher winning it. I really like their quarterback play. I really like the speed they have overall. I think it's going to be enough to win the district. Now, anyone in this top three precursor, I think is capable of coming out with the district win. And in second place, I have Vanderbilt Catholic. Uh, they won the district last year. I think last year was their first year under the longtime Central Catholic head coach. And, again, results showed immediately. And I think they're just going to continue to improve on that. I just, I just don't see them having quite the speed to match Letcher, but they're still going to give them a really good game. Assumption's going to give them a really good game too. Assumption, they won the district 3 years ago, and record-wise, were tied with Vanderbilt Catholic during the COVID year. But last year they slipped to an uncharacteristic third. But I see that more of an aberration more than a trend. So, and I know I'm saying that with them in third place, but understand, there's a whole new member of the district who's up there with any of the rest of them right now. In fourth place, we have South Lafourche coming down from second place. They're going to be, another tough team in this district, but, they really could end up, in third, maybe even if they catch Vanderbilt Catholic on a good enough night, second, but for now, I'm sliding them in at fourth. Fifth, I have South Terrebonne. You could flip them into Ellender either way, and I wouldn't care that much, but I think everyone can agree last place is going to be Morgan City, unfortunately. I want to see them, start to build up in this district, but I just don't see it happening yet. Finally, the last 4A district that I'm going to be covering, 10-4A. And what's interesting about this district is they're substituting out Carr, who's going up to the Catholic League, for a traditional Catholic League member in Archbishop Shaw, who I actually have winning the district. Now, with Carr out of the way, that kind of leaves a vacuum. And I understand, Shaw finished tied for fifth in the Catholic League last year, and, that kind of comes with a little asterisk next to it, because of all those games that Brother Martin had to forfeit, and then the year before they were 0-4, the year before that they were last. But, Shaw really seems like they have a better it really seems like Shaw has a better squad than they've had in the past, even if it's not the most impressive compared to their other traditional Catholic League counterparts, and I think it's going to be just enough to win the district. That being said, Belle Chase and LB Landry will definitely have something to say about that. Now, Belle Chase and LB Landry have traditionally been fighting for second and third in the district. Landry got second place in the COVID year. Belle Chase got it last year. And 3 years ago, there was where Belle Chase got second place in the district, but that was whenever Landry beat them and then had to forfeit because of the big fight after the game. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But this top three is really going to be one of the more interesting ones to watch. Landry's always a team that I think of as someone who can play a spoiler effect in the playoffs, and Shaw might be able to do the same thing in the Division III playoffs. That said, going back to a team that I believe could win state, I think either LCA or U High wins Division III, but again, football is played between the lines, not on paper. And okay, I know this has been a long video, but we're finally to the 5A districts, and I think these are some of the most interesting ones. We're starting with 2-5A, another 4-team race for the district. And first of all, we'll get this out of the way. Pineville 5th place, West Washita 6th place. I'm not even going to touch them beyond that. Okay, West Washita, the few fans left, don't come complaining here. Y'all struggled with Winfield, okay? As for Pineville, listen, y'all just got smacked around by Alexandria in the Jamboree. I understand it's the Jamboree, but it's not a good look when your varsity is losing your Jamboree 35-0. Anyway, on to the top four. That is Ruston, West Monroe, Alexandria, and Washita. And I read out the order that I have them ranked in, but I think any of them could potentially be interchangeable depending on how it goes. But the way I have it going, I actually think that West Monroe and Ruston tie record-wise for the district title. I see Ruston winning the game against West Monroe, considering it's in Ruston, but losing to Alexandria. I have Alexandria and Washita at 3-2. I think Washita catches Alexandria on a bad night, and I think Alexandria is able to catch Ruston on a bad night. But again, any of those four teams are capable of beating each other on any given night. Okay? I mean, that being said, I have a pretty good feeling that, Ruston's not going to finish any lower than second in the district, but, we'll have to see. 4-5A is up next. This is the Baton Rouge district I've been hyping up, and some of the members include, you have even Central, who's kind of the name that gets the least hype. They've been a pretty decent 5A program. You have Liberty, who just started their varsity LHSAA program in 2021 and won their district. You have a team like Scotlandville, who's had a bunch of really good athletes go through. You have Woodlawn with Ricky Collins and a few other athletes. They're up right now. Catholic of Baton Rouge, who had all the fanfare they had the last few years, and Zachary, one of the most dominant 5A programs at the current moment. Yeah. Also, Scotlandville, not to mention about Scotlandville, they're 2 years removed from beating Zachary in the regular season. That being said, we'll start from bottom to top, because all of these teams, I cannot stress to you enough, all of these teams in this district are good 5A teams at the least. And I'd say at least 3 of them are elite 5A teams. This district is insane. In last place, I have Central, and they might be the kind of last place team that's like 5-5 or 4-6, but against like a schedule that, when you look back at it, is a ridiculous schedule. Okay, the last 3 years, they were 3rd in district, 3-1 in district play, 3rd in district. They're always going to play tough. That might be enough to get them up to 5th place in the district, but right now, that's where I have Liberty. Liberty has gone through some coaching changes, but they still have that running back Jackson. They still have some really good athletes on the team, and they're also gonna be competitive here, even moving up from 4A to 5A and having just started a couple years ago. I have Scotlandville in 4th place, and seeing them here almost feels blasphemous, but that's just how tough this district is. When you have a district with Scotlandville in 4th place, that is a ridiculous district. Obviously, they could easily finish higher than that. But Ricky Collins and Woodlawn I have right now in 3rd place in the district. I understand that they beat Catholic of Baton Rouge last year and played until a 1-score game the year before. And I understand that this is going to be a solid squad with just a bunch of really good athletes all over the field. But again, this district is probably, they might be even better than the Catholic League. I'm just going to say it. Second place, I have Catholic of Baton Rouge. And, with some of the guys that are graduating, that they might end up lower than this. But they also have enough talent and capability and coaching to maybe win the district. Again, we'll see. This first place, though, I have Zachary. I think Zachary is the best team in the state right now across all classifications. They won state last year with an offensive line that is not even as good as this year. I understand that a lot of the guys are returning, but that's why I'm saying that. Most of their offensive line from last year is returning, is a year older, and now they have reinforcements. And finally, after this long video, I had to throw the Catholic League in here because it's the Catholic League. You have Edna Carr joining, and just what a year it is for this league. Now, as of right now, I have Carr winning the Catholic League. They're the most, not only are they the most talented team in the Catholic League, I think, but they also, in most cases, haven't had issues closing out games. Now, if they start to have issues closing out games, a la who I have third in district right now, then that could change some things. Right now, I have Brother Martin in second. Now, Brother Martin, on the field, won the district last year, but due to some issues, I forget if it was like paperwork or whatever else was related, they ended up having to forfeit a bunch of games, and on the official record, they were tied for fifth in the district. That said, if none of those snafus come up, they're gonna be where they've been for the longest. And I'll just leave it at that. St. Aug, I have them at third in the district. They have a big team across the board, and big, I mean size big. They're good on the line. They even have an elite level tight end, which if you can utilize in this state, that can take you a far way. Just ask Westgate about that. And if they can finally I say that they can finally put it all together, as if they weren't, well, officially tied for second in district, but if they can just put it all together, man, that they might contend for second district. I think they're the most dangerous team to Carr in this district. Fourth place, John Curtis. Now, John Curtis has been really solid in this district for years. They've done their thing. They haven't been the dominant force that they were in the past, but they've still been one of the better teams in any classification at any size. But they're you talk to the people there, and they're excited, but there's also something a little bit different about this group. How do I explain this? I remember the Curtis broadcast, talk about one time, for example, when a guy ran out of bounds, and the old rules were you don't finish a play without hitting someone. Yeah. But anyway, fifth place, and I didn't adjust this, but I could actually easily see a scenario where this team finishes higher than fifth, And honestly, if I were going through this again, I probably would do it, but it's Jesuit. Uh, now, now, they lost a really good quarterback from last season. That said, now I don't know if this is them being back fully in form or if Hanville is just down, but they did dominate Hanville in the scrimmage, not the scrimmage, the jamboree. And I mean, everyone knows the Catholic League is just an insane district. But yeah, Rummel I have down at sixth place, which is really weird to see. But the thing is, they could easily finish higher than this themselves as well. But they had a really young team last year after a stretch of some really good seasons. They were playing a lot of like freshmen and sophomores. So I think one more year before they really make a serious push up the standings. And, I might be underestimating them this year. Next year, I won't make that mistake. But for now, I have them at 6. And Holy Cross, I have at 7th. I'm not going to get into that. But that's about it. If you stuck through for all of this, oh my goodness, you're insane. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully I can come with something shorter next week. But until then, peace out.